When people heard I was going to Antarctica, they all asked the same thing. You must be very strong. Strong enough to survive minus 80 degrees, minus 40 degrees, or beyond that. Strong enough to live in complete isolation. Strong enough to endure months of darkness. And I believed them. I prepared, I told myself that this journey would test my endurance, my limits, and because Antarctica does not test your strength, it tests your sense of responsibility. Namaskar, my name is Mohit Sharma, and I have been to Antarctica twice as a part of scientific expedition, and I completed wintering there. I spent nearly 2 years living there at the southernmost edge of our planet. Living there, I learned something that no amount of training could prepare me for. It's not about highs, it's not about survival, it's about what actually a person and the system binds together. Most of us live in environments full of cushions. Like if we forget something, we fix it later. If we delay a task, nothing really collapses. If we assume that someone else will do it, usually someone does. Civilization gives us safety nets, but Antarctica does not. Their small actions don't remain small. If you don't secure a door properly, the wind does not forgive you. It just tears the structures. If you skip a routine check, the equipment does not remind you politely. It stops when you need it most. And it will, if you walk away assuming that someone else will handle it, the environment shatters that assumption instantly. So there is no space for a casualness, no tolerance for I'll do it later, no reward for appearing brave, only accountability, only the consequences what was actually done or was not. So let me share you a small instance. So at the stations, everyone knows their responsibility. Like not rigidly but clearly, like ये मेरा काम है, ये आपका काम है. So one afternoon, after about 1 month into winter, I was walking through an area which was not mine. I was just passing through. And I noticed something. There was a small pipe connection which was slightly off. Not dirty, not broken, but it was not like how it should be. So I stopped for a second and I realized that this is not my system, someone else will take care for it. And I started walking again. After a few steps, one simple thought came to my mind that right now I am the one who has noticed it. Officially, it may not have been my responsibility, but in that moment, awareness itself became a responsibility. So I went back, checked it again, and informed the person in charge. And it found to be a small issue, fixed easily, no danger. But what stayed with me was not that pipe connection. It was that those few seconds where I almost kept walking. Because in that moment, I realized that there is a difference between ये मेरा काम नहीं है and मुझे कुछ करना चाहिए. And that is where the responsibility begins. So living there, I began to understand that responsibility shows up in three quiet ways. Not in Antarctica, but everywhere. First, Responsibility before anyone asks. We saw in Antarctica, we were not waiting for instructions. We were anticipating. We saw what we need to be done before it became urgent, before it became visible. So this is the message life sent to me, that always follow up before something becomes urgent or it becomes a problem. So it's just about doing things without being asked to, no matter how smooth. Second, responsibility when it is inconvenient. Antarctica does not adjust its standards how tired you are. Like work happens at its scheduled times, no matter where your mood is right, or no matter like you are in a good state to do that, or you're not like the person who shows up there, it not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Third, responsibility for what you can't yet see. The most precious moment in Antarctica is not when something is clearly broken. It is when something is slightly off and no one has named it yet. And the person who shows up back, not when it is obvious, not when it is sick, but when something quietly feels wrong. And that person is not overthinking. They are taking the responsibility for consequences that have not happened yet. So living there, one morning I realized that something had changed. I was no longer doing tasks that was assigned. I was doing because someone has depended on them being done right. Responsibility is not about authority. It is about consequences. Like every action creates a ripple. If you're careful, system remains stable. If system remains stable, people feel safe. If people feel safe, they perform better. And if they perform better, the mission succeeds. So one person's seriousness becomes everyone's security. And slowly, we often imagine that the one change has single big decision. But the real change is an accumulation. The accumulation of the same careful act repeated without recognition, without applause. And slowly that repetition reshapes you. You stop asking, what do I have to do? You start asking, what happens if I don't? And when I return, people ask again about the stories of my toughness. They ask me, did it make you tougher? But the honest answer is no. It made me more aware, more answerable, more accountable. It did not make me extraordinary. It made me reliable. Extreme places simply makes what is already true every day. A delayed action affects the whole team. A quiet act of integrity shapes the culture. A small act of care changes someone's path. So today, I don't ask myself whether I'm strong enough for what comes next. I ask myself far more demanding. Am I willing to be responsible for what happens next? Because strength impresses people, responsibility sustains them. And the person you become is not defined by the extremes you endure, but by the consequences you choose to carry. One choice, one careful act, one moment you decide it matters. This is where the change begins, and that is where you begin to.